If you have never been to Las Vegas, even as a preacher's kid, I would highly recommend that you put it on your bucket list for at least one trip. If only to step off a plane, walk down the jetway and into the terminal to be greeted by perhaps the most famous attractions in Sin City. The slot machine, often called the one-armed bandit, from back in the old days when these mechanical contraptions presented the thrilling suspense of gambling with the enticing lights and rings to make you at least feel that your luck was gonna turn at any minute. And if you just kept playing, you would be sure to make good on your investment. And some people do the same with the old one-armed bandits that used to be lined up at polling places. But a lot has changed for slot machines in the digital age, just like in modern politics. But many of the old rules still apply. So if you are ever invited to a poker game and don't know who the sucker is, it is probably you, more likely than not. Now, you look like an intelligent person, and that is an old reel in the sucker line that I was taught years ago to sell life insurance. Some sales genius figured out that the odds that it would be the rarest of rare persons who would actually reject the compliment of being called intelligent, along with the attendant temptation to drop down their guard, having finally found someone who appeared to truly appreciate their total awesomeness and brilliance. Have you ever fallen for that? Hey, handsome. Hey, beautiful. I doubt that there is anyone in the world who has not been a sucker at least once in their life, if not more. And more likely than not, who has not fallen for the same sucker lines over and over again. It's not rational, but for whatever reason we do it. And who does not want to look up at that big sign at the Las Vegas airport to read exactly how many billions of dollars they are taking each year, with the thought that you are going to defy the odds and break the jackpot. Welcome to Fantasy Island. Well, the slot machines actually used to be somewhat more predictable, simply because the technology had not quite yet advanced far enough for shrewd gamblers to figure out. So applying the law of large numbers, you actually could keep putting your pennies or dollars in a slot machine until the cams and gears and paddles and kickers would finally make a mechanical machine about to hit. And with the odds of 1 in 164, you might eventually win the big jackpot, with some small payouts along the way to help you break just short of even, because the casino is not there to lose money. But the machines today are all given an algorithm that drives them by computers that are programmed to guarantee that the casino will still be there when you come back to try your luck again. Just like elections. But with sporting events and other venues closed for months, the spirit of gambling has actually turned to betting on a novel coronavirus, with some projecting the odds of the president getting infected and others calculating the odds of when sporting venues will be safe again, all based upon numbers of infections and population models and all of those vague things. But the true gambler knows that the best way to calculate the odds of anything random is to get some inside information to reduce as much uncertainty and ambiguity as you can. And if you are wearing a mask with less than protection of an N95, you might not be surprised that as a gambler, you are probably very risk averse, even if you want to believe that you're being socially responsible and doing it for others. And it's human to be scared. Casinos are designed the same way, and you may stay inside so long that you have no idea whether outside the weather is sunny or fair, or if the sun has gone down. And sheltering in and turning into your content provider of choice, you probably missed the news like Rip Van Winkle, that back in 2010, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health had already determined to a mathematical certainty with a 8130 automatic filter tester, the gold standard in the business, that any possible mask that you might have that has not been NTSI International rated may give you at most only 10% of protection against a microbial infection, regardless of the pathogen, pandemic or not, and that will not save your life. And when an organization like the World Health Organization all of a sudden decides to quickly review 173 observational studies, they are only hoping that the big numbers, like the jackpot prize, flashing lights on slot machines, will keep you pumping your coins in the one-armed bandit, hoping to get lucky. And most recently, after a little myth-busting of my own, the New York Times found a brand new study all the way over in England that was published by the Royal Society, not based on any facts, but only on questionable assumptions, unless you believe that one-ply cotton creates a barrier to microbial infection. So now, believe it or not, my Twitter account has actually been blocked by the New York Times, and I feel good about that. And you usually don't close your shutters if something is not making you just a little bit uncomfortable. But if you need something to give you hope, now that your illusion of security behind a useless mask has been shattered, you can find comfort in the fact that long before the gamblers began trying to guess your odds of infection, the World Health Organization actually used the scientific protocols of contact tracing, coming in contact with 2,842 people who had been identified by infected persons in the Wuhan outbreak, which is a pretty large number of people violating social distancing protocols. And they only found 88 people who had come face to face with a lethal pathogen and became infected, calculating to a mere 2.8%. Giving you actually a 97.2% chance of jumping in a cage of folks infected by COVID-19 and walking away with no problems at all. And this is only possible because when you bioengineer a bat coronavirus, for which there is only one type of bat found in the world that makes this possible, and located about 1,000 miles from Wuhan, there is a trade-off in which you are going to lose some capabilities in exchange for the added features you put on. There's only so much you can put in a Lamborghini. But the bad news is that if SARS-CoV-2, its real name, is not an infectious virus, that gives rise to a lethal communicable disease. It is being deployed in a manner that enables a person to receive the required infectious dose. And while political leaders had you playing politics, over 120,000 Americans have died to date, representing over a quarter of the fatality count worldwide, and by far second to none. While China, where this novel coronavirus began, has fallen from number 1 to around 86. The gambler's warning is to bet with your head and not over it. And you're too old to be playing games. My name is Major Mike Webb. I am running for U.S. Congress with liberty, honor, and excellence. By God, we shall make America great again. Honest. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.